Hello, my friends. If this is your first time on the channel, thank you very much. It's super nice to meet you, and I'm really glad you're here. My name is Erik Miller, and I'm a mortgage and real estate expert, and you're joining me on another episode of Beyond the Baseboards. This is a free-flowing podcast-style show where we bring in local community real estate experts, and we talk about things that's happening in their market, as well as other things inspirational and motivational in the real estate industry throughout the country. This is a show for anybody interested in learning more about real estate, finance, or those, of course, working in the business. Each of these shows is a little different because our stars bring something different that hopefully gives you an extra boost of success, motivation, knowledge, something to make a difference for you. This episode is the first of its kind because for the most part, I kept everything that we talked about. Even though I just started this channel, I know that it's critical to keep things short and compact, which is why this episode is 41 minutes. 41 minutes! Look, I know, I get it. I totally understand. YouTube is like this little non-commitment entertainment machine, and if I want to keep you happy, which I do, then I have to keep things moving. But believe me, this is 41 minutes of solid...
What's he talking about anyway?
What is that?
He can hear me?
Hold on.
Freeze!
I'm sorry.
Hey, what video am I in? I have no idea what video I'm supposed to be in. I'm trying to get to the Tiffany stock video, and I think I popped in at the wrong time. Listen, he's not supposed to know about me. It's complicated, right? So I'm like a version of him. I'm like a tiny digital version of him. I'm like a copy, but not like an exact copy. So I mean, I'm equally as good looking, but I'm in a little bit tinier, more power packed package. Anyway, I've got a lot of videos to support here because let's be open, his stuff without me, it's pretty lackluster. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt your video. Let's just keep this between us. I'll be back later on in this video and then just to explain stuff, and then I'll see you later. Okay, goodbye. Remember, don't say anything. I'm serious. Okay. Okay, good, it's gone. I was saying, anyway, I know it's 41 minutes, but stay till the end because there's good stuff literally throughout this entire thing. It's wonderful and worth your time. The star of this show is Caitlyn McKeague. She gives a lot of great advice if you're a home buyer, home seller, or if you're a real estate agent and you want to take some tips. She's got it going on. She's really good. Beyond having a really informative YouTube channel, she's an excellent agent and market expert in the East Valley of Arizona, specifically the cities of Gilbert, Chandler, Queen Creek, and the super hot up-and-coming city of Santan Valley. Superstar show deserves a superstar intro. Thank you again for checking this out. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the awesome episode of Beyond the Baseboards. Okay, now Caitlyn, is that right? Caitlyn?
That's right, you got that.
But it's not McGeehee.
Not McGeehee.
It's like
I'm glad it's not.
McGeehee's like an Irish Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Anybody? No, just old people. Okay.
Sure.
So say McGee.
McKeague.
McKeague.
Like McKeague, like a keg of beer.
But like a
McKeague.
McDonald's style keg of beer.
There you go. Yes.
It's a McKeague. I'll take a
Hey,
McRib
don't give me any business ideas.
and a McKeague. I bet McDonald's could sell some beer. Anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on the Beyond the Baseboards podcast. And I'm really excited to talk with you because your presence online is really beautiful. Your videos are really beautiful and they're very elegant, and it's clear that you are an expert in lots of areas. And so I'm excited to talk with you and to learn about these things that you know that others don't, and then share them with the universe.
Okay, no pressure. Well, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate all of that. I'm excited to talk with you.
Cool. So actually, the first question I have is, what area do you have a real estate specialty? Do you have a community specialty? What area of the Valley or real estate in particular do you specialize in?
Yeah, good question. So I mainly will do Phoenix, Scottsdale, and the East Valley, but honestly, Phoenix is so spread out and very similar across the whole city for the most part. So I go everywhere from Queen Creek to Cave Creek to Buckeye. I've kind of done it all, and work with both buyers and sellers. Most commonly, I'm working with folks that are first-time buyers or first-time sellers. So that's kind of, I guess, a specialty. But I've worked with people who are buying their 15th home. So it really kind of varies.
So a lot of people know about first-time buyers. We'll talk about that, but tell me about first-time sellers. What's the difference between a first-time seller and a seller who's, had many properties? Is there a difference?
Yeah, well, a lot of times when you're selling, you're also trying to buy simultaneously. So that puts a little bit of some nuances in the process. So first time sellers are trying to sell and also buy most of the time. And it's new, right? You've only sold or bought a house before, you've been on the buying side, but then you're going to sell and everything kind of flips as far as thinking about how you should have your house prepared for sale. Once we get to inspection, what's a buyer going to pick apart or not pick apart? What you should invest in before listing it, that kind of thing. So all of that is new for first-time sellers.
Do you pre-tell them like, hey, the buyer might want this, or they might look at that, or how do you frame it with them so that they don't have surprises?
Yeah, definitely. I do that. I get a lot of questions about what people should do before they list. So, people will say, should I redo all my floors before we list the house? And I'm like, no, you definitely shouldn't. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're never going to enjoy that. So it really depends on the way the house is, how much work it needs and whatnot. But in this market, you can sell your house without having to put in too much work. So I try to advise them on what makes sense to put some money into or work into to make it a good house to sell. And then just be prepared for some of the things buyers ask for. Anything that's health or safety related are kind of the main things that are most reasonable. Anything that has to do with the main systems in the house. If your AC is not working, we need to address that before we have a buyer come in here.
Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on solar? Because some people love it, some people hate it. I found that unfortunately, it's an obstacle for buyers sometimes. What's been your experience?
Yeah, same experience. Some people love it, some people hate it. It depends if it's leased or owned, because you can come across a property that the sellers have already purchased the whole thing. So you just get the benefits of it. Or you have to assume that lease, and that affects your loan, right? So
Right.
And your monthly payment and all of that stuff. So it can be an obstacle. I say for solar, if you're on the fence about it, do your research and see if it fits for your lifestyle, your energy usage, and what you're going to have to pay, how that lease works, or whatever it is. So all of that is, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of solar, but I know some people love it. So it's to each their own.
Me neither. Me neither. I'll tell you, I always talk about how the solar people, like car salespeople, get a bad rap, right? But
Yeah.
solar people are the most solar and timeshare people are like the most aggressive salespeople on the planet.
That's true. That's true. You're 100% right on that. They don't leave your front door either. The solar people. It's like, I've had them talking to me through the front door. I'm like, no, thank you. And they're still trying to sell. I'm like, no, thank you.
You could save $6 a month if you sign up for $30,000 in financing.
Sir, you're now screaming.
APS will pay you 3 cents a month. Like, I don't think this math is working, bro.
Right. It's all a little confusing, but I do have some friends who love it and, swear by it. So I think if it fits for you, it works. Just do your research.
So on the seller side, for newer agents, first, how long have you been an agent?
3 years.
Okay. So for newer agents that are dealing with newer sellers, have you ever had somebody not listen to you or listen to your advice?
Yes.
And so what is your strategy around when a seller just doesn't see the same things that you see? How do you work through that with them?
That's a hard one. I am a big believer in allowing people to find things out on their own. I don't like to push people to do things that they're not comfortable with or not interested in or don't believe in. And even if I know that I'm right, sometimes we have to go through an exercise to learn. And as painful as that can be, I think at the end of the day, it's better because most people realize that maybe I was right from the start. They have some respect for me for not pushing them, because if all you do is try to get them to see your way, it usually doesn't end very well, and they have a bad experience, especially if maybe your advice doesn't work out that time. Everything is, hard to predict
just
in
a
real
guess,
estate.
right? It's really just a guess in the end. Other than like, you can't have a cabinet door broken and you want to have all your light bulbs in. Other than that stuff, it's really just best guess. Smell is a big one, right? If they don't tend to smell the cat or whatever, that's a tough one to explain.
Yes. But you know what? Then so we list it smells like cat, and every feedback that we get says it smells like cat in here. And then I share it with the seller. Everyone says it smells like cat. Maybe we should do something about cat smell.
You ever pretend like you didn't smell? Like, I don't even know what they're talking about. It smells fine in here.
This is really crap feedback. Let's just throw this away.
This is them. This isn't me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love cat smell. Anyway, cat smell is invisible. Anyway, okay. So where do you think the market's headed? You'd mentioned earlier in this market, they don't have to do much. I've got a video about how I went into a tour, and literally the dude's laundry was laying out, and like his game remotes were on the floor. I was just like, you're not even cleaning up anymore. That's where the market was definitely a couple of months ago. Where do you think the market's at now, and where do you think it's headed?
Seriously, tiny little portal. Oh, I can't control the size. Anyway. Oh, hey, it's Caitlyn. Caitlyn's really, really great. I'm just having a bad day. First of all, he's not even supposed to know I'm here, so that was weird. I mean, he can't see me in this side, but I guess if I go in the intros, I can be seen. Anyway, I just popped in because she's doing an amazing job. I just wanted to try to dispense the awkwardness from our last. And anyway, so I brought her a promo box. Here's how the promo box works. Watch this. Beautiful, right? It's beautiful. Okay. So what happens is when she says something awesome, which is probably pretty frequent, then the promo box is gonna let you know, hey, so that I don't have to keep coming back in here 100 times to make a point of emphasis. I mean, not that you aren't worth it. I'm so overwhelmed today. It's just been crazy. This guy, anything. So all right. So I will see you later, or I won't. Mystery's up to you. Hey. Okay. I don't know why I said that. All right. Goodbye. Big portal. Nope. Seriously? I can't even. Okay. Just start that.
Boy, is that a big question.
Just ignore me. No,
well,
I'll be out eventually.
I think right now things are definitely softening a bit in terms of the seller advantage. We're still in a very strong seller's market, but things are definitely softening, and it's really a difference between a house having 15 offers and now maybe it has 8 offers. So. Right. It will be a little bit of time before that changes, but I think we're definitely heading to a place that's a little bit more balanced in time. That might be 6 months, that might be a year and a half, I don't know. But I think that things have peaked and gotten so challenging for buyers, and prices have increased so quickly that we finally started to see some resistance from buyers. That coupled with the fact that, the economy and everything is back open for the most part, and it's summer. So everyone's like, I'm taking all these vacations I missed last year. I'm getting out of the house. And so whereas last year real estate was a big focus for a lot of people, this year I think maybe it's on the back burner for the summer. And so I think that's part of the reason things are starting to soften a little bit for sellers.
Plus, I think it's 1,000 degrees in Arizona, or it's getting to be there. I don't even remember last summer. Do you remember last summer? I don't remember there being a summer. It was the weirdest thing. It's like, this is the first summer in 2 years, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, I remember last summer because I was in a rental while my house was getting remodeled and we didn't have air conditioning for 17 days. So I remember last summer very well.
How was that?
You can tell I don't hold any grudges about it.
Still angry. Not 14 or 13 days. It was
17.
Exactly 17 days. That's funny. So, okay. So now we're moving into a little bit more buyer positioning. And that's really good. If somebody is just coming into the market right now as a new home buyer, as a first-time home buyer, like as of right now, snapshot this month, what advice are you giving them and what are you sharing with them?
Yeah. So I tend to be very honest with buyers because I'd rather them hear it from me first than get into this market and get very discouraged. So I can be pretty blunt at first, whether that's good or bad. I just want to be honest. So I let people know, listen, there's not going to be a whole lot for us to look at. You don't have the option to really be that picky. Right. When we find something, you have to act quickly. You're likely going to be bidding against multiple offers, and including cash. And here is the list of strategies on how we can be competitive. And you need to decide how competitive you want to be, because when you're ready to write an offer, we won't have a whole lot of time. You're going to have to be pretty decisive. So do you feel like waiving an appraisal contingency is comfortable to you or not? Do you feel like you want to do an inspection or not? Here's all the ways we can be competitive. So I try to educate them as best as possible. And, I wish it was more rainbows and butterflies, but it's tough out there. And I just don't want anyone to waste their time or my time, frankly, if they're not ready to jump in. So we talk about all that stuff. And then of course we talk about all the fun stuff about, open kitchen and light and bright. And, I want
clean
tile floors and this and that. And I love this neighborhood and these school districts, and all of those things are great too. But I just want them to know, when you're ready to go, we got to be pretty serious here. It's going to move quickly and you got to be decisive.
I think that's really smart, right? I'm wondering how many agents do that, where people start into the buying process and they don't know what they're getting into, and then they uncover that they have to waive appraisal, or they uncover that they have to increase their earnest money deposit or whatever. I like that you frame it ahead of time with them and you get their sign off on it, so they understand that they're essentially going to some kind of battle and they're going to have to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely something that they should be prepared for, because it would be a very rude awakening if you didn't expect any of that. And a lot of those things that you have to do as a buyer right now are uncomfortable. It's money, it's waiving your rights in a lot of ways. And so I just want to make sure that they're committed to doing that, because otherwise we're all going to spin our wheels for a long time. It's the only way you can compete right now.
Yeah, I can't count the number of times, and I hate to say this, but buyers, sometimes you can tell where they're at in history, because they're like, I'm going to offer 5,000 less than asking. You're like, come on, man. Come on. Nobody's like, I don't want to send a pre-qual with more than my asking price, because I don't want to show my hand. Like, come on, man. They don't, like, all that's gone now. All that's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a perfect example of what I was saying, where, sometimes I let people learn the hard way, because, I can tell you till I'm blue in the face that, like, you're going to need to offer 10,000 over asking, but that's a really hard message for me to deliver to someone when it's not my money. I'm not the one paying that. So it's very awkward to tell people that. And so I can suggest it, but I always let them make the decision. And if they don't go with my recommendation, we usually find out that, we lost out to someone who went 10,000 over asking or whatever. And so then next time they're a little more aggressive. So, I think that's a lot of people out there wouldn't be so laid back on that, but I think it helps for people to experience it and really learn it. And I just have to be patient. And then next time we'll know what to do.
I think that's really smart. That's the mark of a good agent, is what you're doing is you're acting as an advocate and a guide more than you are like I don't know what else it would be, but I just think that's the smartest thing to do. Like you're like a housing market Sherpa, right?
I love that.
You carry as much of the weight as you can, but like
yeah.
you're gonna need boots. You're gonna need to have a change of socks. You're gonna have to like have this stuff, and then you want to be careful and be smart about it. And I think that's really great. My question is, did you learn that? You've been an agent for 3 years. You're obviously very successful. You know exactly what you're doing. Did you start off knowing that stuff, or how has the journey been from day one as an agent to day now as an agent?
Oh yeah. I've learned so much in 3 years, and you can never learn it all. And dealing with people in general in any business, I'm sure in your business too, it's like you don't really know what to expect. You have to feel people out and understand where they're coming from and how they want to work with you, and make sure you're a good mesh or match. You can mesh together. So I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of different clients. I've had some that are just a breeze and a dream come true, and some that are challenging at every turn. And I respect that, because this is the biggest purchase or, sale of your life. Really, you only do it a few times in your life. It's a lot of money. And you're trusting me to help guide you and write contracts and all these things. So it's taken a lot of learning, a lot of, I've definitely made mistakes. I've learned from colleagues and mentors. I've learned from my clients. You kind of just have to morph a little bit with each client and understand what service how you can provide your service to them, what's going to make them feel good and work with their expectation.
What did you do before you were a real estate agent?
I did corporate recruiting.
Great.
Yeah,
that's a great, okay.
Yeah. I was matching people with jobs, and now I match people with homes. So, I guess I'm just a matchmaker. But yeah, did corporate recruiting for a variety of companies. I did a nonprofit, I did a staffing company, and then American Express was my most recent employer before I jumped ship into the real estate world.
One of the things, and if you don't mind sharing the story with me, I'm sure it's a great one. A lot of people don't know when they're talking with real estate agents, who they're really talking to is somebody that's pretty brave, right? Because there has to be a moment where you had sort of stability, perceived stability. You kind of knew what you're going to get every month. You kind of knew what your job was. You were good at it. And then you make this transition where you basically jump off a cliff. What was it for you where you were like, that's it, I'm going to be a full-time agent and I'm just going to go for it?
Well, yeah, it was definitely a scary decision, but I've always wanted to run my own business of some sort. I just never really knew what that would be. And we went through the process of selling our home and buying a new one. And I realized there were a lot of similarities in the real estate process that my agent navigated for us, as I kind of did in the recruitment process of managing the candidates and the hiring managers and kind of being that go-between in a lot of ways. So I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense for me. I don't know if I could have done it without being married and having a husband who had income. I know some people just dive in and that terrifies me. It was hard enough.
You still dove in, right? I mean,
did,
because
yeah.
Your income is a house income. It's a combination of you and your husband. And, not having half of that is scary for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It was scary, but it also was something I knew I needed to do, because if I didn't do it then, I didn't think I would ever do anything. And I am so, so glad I did it. And it's been a very long learning path too. I've never been so into, motivational, not self-help, but, that whole realm of stuff. I never cared about any of that. And now I love everything to do with like manifestation and meditation and all of those things. It's really powerful stuff. And I think a lot of people in our business like this end up turning to that, because you have to have some sort of like vision and faith on this is going to work out.
It's going to work, right?
Yeah.
It's very lonely, actually,
on your shoulders.
being a real estate agent.
Yes, it can be very lonely and it can be very discouraging. And it's, until you get some momentum, it's very hard. And even once you have that momentum, sometimes it can just stop in a second and you're like, I'm never going to sell another house again. Oh my God.
Yeah. You always feel like that, right? After you have a good month, you're like, yeah. And the next month you're like, oh no, that's my last month ever as a real estate agent.
Yeah, for sure. It can be a scary thing, but again, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so glad that I did what I did, because it's opened up so many more doors and unlocked so much more opportunity than I ever would have had in a corporate environment. And I think I'm just happier in general, feeling like I can create and do what I want to do for my business every single day.
Yeah, it's one of those professions that's pretty odd. Like if you don't sell houses, if you don't get buyers, then everybody's like, I told you so, you're a loser. And then if you are successful and you're selling houses and you're doing well financially and you're helping buyers and everything's working, then it's like, well, you get paid too much for what you do. It's like there's no like, great job. And that's it. It's always one extreme or the other. So you almost have to be your own best advocate and, professional high fiver or whatever it is.
Yeah. You really have to kind of put the blinders on in a lot of ways and do it for you. And don't compare and just take everything with a grain of salt at what everyone says. Because even the people that say great job, sometimes you just feel like in the back of their mind, they're like, well, I wish I could just quit my job and go do that too. But I have these things, like, it's so
but
easy.
You won't. And you didn't. Because you're scared. Right? Like they don't realize that they're talking to a champion. Even if you make more or the same that you made in your corporate job as a real estate agent, that's a humongous win. It's a huge win. And it's not like you work less hours, you work more hours, you just get paid in big bunches, right? And if you get paid at all, and then the deal can just fall apart. Like, so it's like, imagine you work your 80 hours or 160 hours on a thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, no paycheck for you. Just got to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's all out of your control too. If someone decides, there's only so much you can do to keep a deal together. And at the end of the day, if it's not right for your client, why are you pushing, for your paycheck? That's not right. Yeah. So you really get caught in that. I've had some that have hurt pretty bad for sure. But then there's always the other side. And all of a sudden I get one that's like a great client, a great transaction. Everyone's happy, closes quickly. And it's like, oh, that was the easiest money I've ever made. So, you get the,
they balance each other that way.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you've been through it. You've stepped off the ledge. You left corporate America. You became a real estate agent. You climbed your way up. You become very successful. What's some advice you can give to new agents or people that might be considering real estate? What kind of advice can you give them in terms of what they might need to know or what they might need to think about before they really make a courageous move like what you did?
It's going to be a lot harder than you think it's going to be. And believe me, everyone told me that. And I was like, it'll be great. I'm going to be great at this, be fine. And I was very humbled. It was very hard. So that would be my first thing. But my advice would be just keep going. Like, that's the name of the game in this business. If you can outlast everyone else in your follow-up, in your persistence, you will be winning, because there are a lot of quitters in this business, unfortunately.
Bravo.
And
Bravo,
that's all you
ma'am.
gotta do.
Oh, yeah. Look at the size of that portal, huh? What? It's not the size of the portal. Anyway, I'll put that down so you stop this. Okay, so I just wanted to bring this in one more time. Caitlyn makes an amazing point here, and apparently the box got burnt out because she was spitting so much hot fire that it just burned out. So I just want to make this point. If you're a real estate agent, it is really hard to be an agent, and you just got to stay strong. You got to believe in yourself, and people will encourage you, but in the end, you're gonna have to be true to who you are, and just know that if you're doing your best and you're working hard every day, that eventually you will achieve the things that you want to achieve. So she's saying that all day and night, and she knows what she's talking about. I just wanted to encourage you to, and also say thank you very much for watching this video. Don't press that button. You stay here. Okay, I just wanted to say thank you, and that's it. So, okay, so watch this. 2 massive portals. What? Which side am I gonna go in? It's so shaky. I'm going this way. All right, we'll see you later.
It's consistency. Yeah, it's consistency, really. And if you can just be consistent in whatever you're doing, you'll get there. But you got to be patient. You got to be consistent, and you just have to keep going.
Mm-hmm. That is really, really good advice. That's really good advice. Okay, so the next segment I call random questions. It's called random questions because I don't know if they'll be any good or not. And you're spitting hot fire right now, so I just want to hit you with a couple of questions. Okay.
All right.
Have you ever had to do something as a real estate agent after you got paid? What have you done to help your clients after the deal was done that maybe you just did it because you thought it'd make their life better? Have you ever done something like that?
Yes. I had clients who were moving from out of the country, and then they also had another home in another state, and they were going to be going back to their other state after we closed on this home. Didn't have the room for all of their luggage, lots of kids. Long story short, I stored their four or five suitcases in my garage for a month. And then once the house closed, I took the suitcases to their house, rolled them all in, got everything set up. And then a month later, they arrived at the house. So yes, I have done things like that. And you kind of have to, I'd want someone to do that for me. They don't know anyone here. So what are they supposed to do?
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. What's your favorite phrase?
Favorite phrase? Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, I'll show you.
Show me.
Make hay while the sun shines.
Oh, that's one of my favorite phrases too. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I love it. I have you found it easy to make hay right now where like all you have to do is just try to get a listing and it's a pretty solid chance you're going to sell it quickly and over ask?
Yeah, on the listing side, it's definitely a lot easier. I tend to be a buyer magnet. I've worked with both buyers and sellers, but I tend to be a buyer magnet. So I would say probably 80 to 90% of my clients have been buyers this year. So I've definitely not been on the easy side of things, but trying to make hay while the sun shines.
What are you doing to try to help get your buyers' offers accepted? You're likely a buyer magnet because people are figuring out that you're able to help get them houses. What are you doing that's different?
There are a lot of things aside from what they can do to be competitive, right? Like I said earlier, I give them all the options, everything I can think of like whatever, however flexible you want to be, the world is your oyster. Let's see what we can do here. But I call the listing agents. I let them know we're very interested. I find out if they have other offers. I try to find out what those other offer terms are, if they have other offers, so we can be competitive with that. I give them the backstory on who my clients are, why they love the house, why it would be perfect for them. I humanize the clients more than just what's on the paper. You know, I really try to write a good offer. And I know that sounds silly, but on the listing agent side, they are looking at all the offers that they receive. And if an agent seems to be incompetent, that listing agent's going to tell their seller, this is going to be a hard transaction because this buyer's agent doesn't know what they're doing. I can tell by this offer. So, you know, I write a really good contract. I follow up. You know, everything that I can do to like be the squeaky wheel in front of that listing agent, I do. And then the rest is really on my client of as far as how competitive they want to be.
You, it's funny that you like really smart what you're saying. One of the things I just want to come back to because it's just an epically good point. How clean is your paperwork? Is it a hot mess? Is it in lots of different emails? Tell us about how your paperwork is.
Yeah, so my offers are very clean. When I write a contract, it's excellent. My uploading of documents to my broker file is a bit of a mess. And that is why I'm trying to find an assistant to help me because it's just a lot of, you know, the administrative function of this job is hard to balance when you're always out on the road. So, that can be a little bit of a mess if I'm being honest.
But that's the back end stuff. How about when you're interacting with the sales agent? That stuff.
Yeah.
Tight as a drum, right?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be. Otherwise they just kick it to the curb.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't read if you don't read the seller instructions and you don't follow the seller instructions, they're just gonna boot your deal, even because there's so many, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's a big thing too. Yeah. They'll tell you a lot of times in the listing of when it's open for showings, when they expect offers to be reviewed, what the seller might want in terms of a post-possession or whatever. And if you're the dummy that's calling the listing agent, asking all those redundant questions, they're going to be like, I don't want to work with this person. They, you know, they don't know what they're doing. They can't even read instructions. So yes, I try to do all my recon on that, be prepared, and then, you know, follow their wishes and be very gracious that we got to see the house and, you know, do my best.
Okay. So, not a lot of people want to answer this question. I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your worst story of all time? Your worst experience that shocked you as a real estate agent?
Oh man, boy. I wish you had asked me this ahead of time because I could have like gone through the repository in my mind and maybe pulled out something really good.
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there have been some things where I'm like, whoa, what the heck is going on? I mean, you see some weird stuff in houses. One time we went into a master bedroom closet that was locked, mind you. And
Locked?
there were some like ropes hanging from the ceiling. It was just very odd. Yeah. And it was like, everyone just kind of looked at each other like, I don't know
maybe
what
they're
this
into
is.
rope climbing. Maybe
Yeah, I'm sure that was it.
they like to work out. They like to rope climbing can be very good on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to rope climb in their closet?
Yeah, it's normal. Let's see what else. Trying to think of, man, everything from, I've had clients where the sellers didn't do the repairs that they were supposed to do before closing. And my clients were pretty upset. And one of the things is we needed to find where the sewer cleanouts were. Which if anyone doesn't know what those are, it's like these caps that are usually in your front yard. And that's what the plumber needs in case you have a backup in your house. They have to go through the cleanouts to clean it all out. So if you don't know where your cleanouts are, you can have big plumbing issues. So it was closing day and we realized no one ever found the cleanouts. So I was digging in the front yard trying to find the cleanouts, and it was like 30 degrees outside that morning, of course. So that was fun. I don't know. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of things.
Were you in a suit where we shovel? I'm just picturing you all dressed up in heels and blinged out, like shoveling in the front yard.
Nope, nope, I was not. Oh, I do. I have a really good story actually.
Okay.
Okay, this will be my last one. I had a final walkthrough with my client. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a phone call.
I was gonna say that's all me. I love me, but you're like, I got a good story, and then like, whoop, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the teaser.
Okay.
So I had a client who she was buying a house for closing the next day. We had our final walkthrough, and she was late showing up for the final walkthrough. And then she comes pulling up with a guy I've never seen before in a car I've never seen before. And come to find out, I think they just came from a brunch or perhaps an entire night and then a brunch, where I don't know, we weren't very in our right minds, I guess, at the time. So it was pretty funny because the whole transaction, she was very, very put together and really sweet. And then this was a whole different side. And this gentleman who was with her, I found out they didn't really know each other all that well. And so then I started getting concerned because we're walking through this house. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And, I shouldn't be allowing him into this house, but like all of this happened so fast. And then they're like, oh, you've almost bought this house. Let's jump in the pool. And I'm like, no, don't jump in the pool. And they're like kicking off their shoes. They're about to take a running jump in the pool. I had to like stop them, scream at them. And then they're traipsing through the house with their wet feet. I was like, oh my God, what just happened?
So they made it to the water.
They did. They got their feet in, but they didn't jump in all the way. So yeah, and she was supposed to sign paperwork that day too. And she ended up rescheduling that, which was probably a good thing.
That's good. And so did she eventually own that house with the pool?
She did. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. I was like, you can jump in now, but
Now you
not
can jump
yesterday.
in. Do whatever you're going to
Yeah.
do. Invite your friend, invite a lot of friends. It doesn't matter.
All my friends. Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
What's your favorite story in your real estate career?
Oh, that might've been it.
Oh, nice. It's the same story.
Yeah. I don't know. No, I would say one of my favorite stories, because there's a lot of them. I really enjoy this business when I get to connect with people and they get to achieve a goal of home ownership. And I did have a client that was true for in the fall, and they had a really rough go before me with an agent that wasn't very helpful. They were on a pretty tight budget too, and not a lot of extra cash for closing costs and all of those things, which is super hard in this market. And all they wanted to do was buy a house. And so we ended up getting them under contract and everything. It was challenging. And then 3 days before closing, the lender that they had been working with really screwed up bad, and they were not qualified any longer for that house. And this
Wow.
was the day after Thanksgiving. So it was holiday season. They're like shattered. It was horrible. So long story short, we got everything back on track with a new lender. And I contributed a little bit to help them get their closing costs covered and all of these things. And at the end of the day, they were able to close right before Christmas. And they were just like the most grateful people and the most grateful family that I've ever met. And they were so happy to have this house. And that was when I was like, this has been hell. And it's been so hard, but I honestly felt more for their situation than for the hours that I had to put in. So I would say that was one of the best stories. That was a really cool experience.
Isn't that
to see
awesome?
that all finally work out. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that an awesome thing? When did they buy? How long ago was this?
This was December of 2020.
So imagine
6
now
months
that
ago.
same family, how much equity they have in that house, given the
Yeah.
rise and all this stuff. So not only could they barely got into it or they had trouble getting into it, but now they're on the road to even greater prosperity. And to be a part of that history is pretty awesome. Pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it was a good story.
Okay. So before we go, I want to talk about your YouTube channel a little bit. Can we?
Yeah, sure.
So when you started real estate, how much longer after you started real estate before you started your channel?
I was in real estate for a year. And after doing a year of cold calling and door knocking, I finally, thank goodness, discovered YouTube and decided that's got to be the way. So I've had my channel for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance, you should check out Caitlyn's channel. I will put a link in the description below because that's what people do. So you can see all of that. And then have you found that you are able to earn business from YouTube? What has been your experience as being a real estate agent, on the forum and putting yourself out there? What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, it's been excellent. Not only have I been able to find clients on YouTube, but I've found the best clients on YouTube, really, because they have already watched my videos. They've gotten to know me. They have an interest in working with me. I'm not trying to convince them to work with me. They've already kind of decided that they feel like we'd be a good fit. And we tend to be a really good match. So every client I've worked with from YouTube has been really a wonderful experience for the most part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. I really, really appreciate speaking with you. You probably know this, but you are an excellent, excellent agent. Your success is in no way accidental. And thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share some of your history and your funny stories. You're one of the first people to ever actually be brave enough to share a scary story. So thanks for doing that.
I'm real.
Yeah, you're real. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is lots of fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.